As a yoga teacher who specializes in nervous system regulation and yoga nidra, I was super interested in how a ring could help me determine if what I've been doing for the past 30 years is actually working, or if the raw empirical data that I'm collecting on this ring would tell me something completely otherwise. This is not another tech bro review. This is a review from a woman's perspective, somebody who lives at the intersection of intuition and embodiment, but who also loves tech. I was one of the early adopters of YouTube. I started here in 2009. So I do love tech, but I also love intuition and embodiment. So, will the Ultrahuman Ring allow me to live at that intersection, or will it give me performance anxiety? So here's what shook me in the first week of wearing my Ultrahuman Ring. And this was one of the things that I was most interested in wearing it for. And I want to show you because it's happening right now in my app. I can see right here that I am stimulated at a level 93. Now, this is something that would have maybe stressed me out from an embodiment perspective, from an intuitive perspective. I would have thought, geez, Melissa, you're stressed right now. But my Ultrahuman Ring is telling me, actually, no, you're just stimulated. You're in a good place right now to get work done. You're clear, you're focused, you're ready to go, you're ready to take action. And this has given me more relief than you can imagine. I'm not a total stress bag. I'm not a bag of nerves. I'm not totally anxious. I just spend a lot of time highly stimulated, ready to go, ready to take on the day. And this has been such a relief. So let me tell you about this stress rhythm, because this section has been pretty game changing. Let's take a look at it. So there are 4 different states according to the Ultrahuman stress rhythm feature, 4 physiological states, and they are relaxed, stimulated, and then there's also an activity sympathetic activation, and that's in blue. We'll go through each one of them. So the relaxed state here is in the white, and this is characterized by a low resting heart rate and also high heart rate variability. I'm going to talk to you about this more in the next video, but you want a higher heart rate variability. It means your heart's more relaxed. So activities like sleep and meditation, calming practices like yoga, these are going to lead to this relaxed state. And it means that you're not stressed. It's a good recovery state as well. Stimulated, this is the state that I would often normally intuitively worry about, that I would thought I was stressed in. It means that your body is experiencing mild stress, leading to increased mental alertness. This is actually a state where you get a lot done in my opinion. Activities like reading or watching an engaging movie. This is where you can you're not fully relaxed or highly stressed, but you're experiencing heightened focus and engagement. Now, stressed, this is the red zone, and you can see I only have 5 minutes of it, so something I was stressing out about was not really an issue. This is an elevated heart rate and decreased heart rate variability. This occurs when you are physically or in mentally challenging situations, and it indicates that your body's under significant stress. Now, it does also differentiate between stressed and activity, which is also stressful for your body, but it's good stress. That's sympathetic activation. This reflects a period where your sympathetic nervous system responds to the fight or flight response. During times there's an increase of heart rate and a decrease in heart rate variability. So it's physiological arousal. This commonly happens with physical exercise. So this 25 minutes was this morning when we went out for a walk in the cold. So this distinguishes between stress on your body when you might be having anxiety versus good stress, like when you're having physical activity. So let's talk about how I've used this ring and the information it's giving me as biofeedback. So let's say when I'm working and I feel stressed, I can stop and say, okay, am I really stressed or am I just in a state of alertness? And there are some cues that I'm actually starting to learn to understand better because of wearing the ring. So I can turn it on and see, no, I'm just in activation. I'm stimulated. Sometimes I turn it on and I am stressed, and I'm learning to see that when I'm in that stress state, things are actually, I check and I see what's actually going on. And I'm in sympathetic activation. So, as I know, because I am a nervous system expert, in sympathetic activation, things feel really urgent. They feel like I don't have a lot of choices, like I have to do everything now. And so, between having this phone app and the ring collecting the data, I know that, okay, if that's happening, I can actually take a break. If I pull it up in this app here, particularly this zone, it'll turn bright red and it'll say that you're in a stress state. Then I can pause. I can take a breath. I can take a step away from work. And I can take whatever I'm doing, which is too overwhelming for my nervous system at the point. I can change it down into smaller, more doable, more manageable tasks that feel safer for my nervous system. Because at that moment, things just don't feel safe for my nervous system for whatever reason. And I can make micro adjustments so things do feel safer. And I have been doing that. And one of the things that I've been trying to do is go outside. And it's so funny because when you're in that state, you feel like you don't have the time to do it, but you do. You can step outside, you can go for a little walk around the block, and then you'll realize you have choices and you have other ways to do things. So that has been a huge, huge learning curve for me, where I've been able to use that biofeedback, tune into my intuition, and make changes in my life because of the feedback from the ring. Okay, sleep. This was an area that I had a healthy amount of skepticism going in because I'm not convinced about how can I possibly measure sleep. So let's talk about that. I will say, so last night it says I got 7 hours and 55 minutes of sleep and 2 full sleep cycles. There are exclamations, like warning signs of this, because you want to have at least 4 full sleep cycles. Last night is saying I didn't get good sleep. I will agree with that to a certain extent. I didn't do a great evening routine last night. I had a stressful evening yesterday. I had a stressful professional meeting yesterday, and it spilled over into my sleep. And so I will agree with that. Let's take a look at sleep and talk about how they measure it. Things that I agree with, things that I think that somehow maybe make it less accurate for me. So there are all these different scores to measure your sleep, starting with sleep efficiency. So this is measured with a motion detector, a motion sensor, which measures your wakefulness versus sleep. So sometimes this can get messed up because basically what happens if you go to bed and you read for an hour and then you get up and you brush your teeth and take your vitamins, it's going to skew your sleep score. It also tracks your sleep efficiency, also tracks your heart rate variability and your heart rate drops, which typically occurs when you're transitioning into deeper sleep. It measures your skin temperature and your body movements. And why this matters is the higher your sleep efficiency, the more restful your sleep is with fewer awakenings. Lower efficiency may indicate restlessness and fewer awakenings. So last night, apparently, I had good sleep efficiency. Next thing is the temperature. So as I say, the sleep efficiency is I it's the movement thing that mostly gets me. Okay, so the temperature is your body temperature naturally drops at night to initiate and maintain deep sleep. So if it stays too high, you can have a more restless and light sleep or frequent wake ups. So the Ultrahuman Ring, it detects those temperature fluctuations and optimal thermal range. And it identifies also whether your sleep environment is too warm or too cold. And it offers insights for ideal bedtime conditions, like if you need to change your temperature of your room. So this one I think is a great thing for the ring to track. It used to be, before I went on hormone replacement therapy, think I struggled with this. I would wake up because I was too hot. But also we do keep our bedroom window open at night, even through the winter, to keep our room cool. So I think this tracking is a good thing, and that it probably measures it fairly accurately. Then there comes to restfulness. This is about how deep your sleep is and how uninterrupted your sleep is. So, as somebody who has studied a lot about sleep, as somebody who teaches yoga nidra, sleep yoga, helps people train a lot about sleep, I think this sort of quest for total uninterrupted sleep is something weird. Like, we don't need to go through the whole night without waking up. So this is where you can start to get sleep anxiety. We don't need to have performance anxiety about our sleep. Waking up in the middle of the night is something normal. So we don't need to worry about that so much. That is something that that restfulness and uninterrupted sleep. I see a lot of people worrying about that, and I'm not too worried about that. The total sleep is again measured through your motion tracking. And again, I say this one can get kind of skewed around if you get up in the middle of the night. Now, the heart rate drop, this one is very interesting. Now, last night it said it needs attention, but if you were to go back to any other night, I have optimal heart rate drops. Oh, not that night, but generally I do. And so I would say that one, my heart rate didn't drop very well last night because I was stressed about that meeting I had yesterday, and my heart rate didn't drop very well. So I think that's a good one to show. A minimal heart rate drop would indicate stress or poor recovery and restless sleep. So that would be true. The timing, again, is measured around motion when you go to bed. So I think that it also likes consistent bedtime when you go to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time. So when I first got this, I was on a week off. I was going to bed super early, waking up late, having such long sleep times, and sort of expecting that from me now, even as I go back to work. So I think it's also kind of skewing my score. So that's kind of an interesting thing about timing. And then this total restorative body time. This measures your heart rate variability, which I think is a good thing to measure. It measures your respiratory rate and your heart rate drops, which is a good thing to measure. Skin temperature changes, another good thing to measure. So I think that that's another good thing to measure. I think what you're looking for, this is another interesting thing here. You want to have lots of deep sleep here. I wouldn't worry too much about these nighttime wakings myself. But I think this is a really interesting thing, especially these heart rate drops, and then the heart rate variability in the night, and the deep sleep cycles as well. You want to get lots of those. So what I'm most excited to share with you in the next video is dynamic recovery, which tells you about your body's ability to handle stress and physical activity, but there's a big learning curve to that. So I want to spend more time with the ring before I get into that with you. What I love most about the ring is not only is it collecting data, but it's giving you advice, it's giving you strategies, it's giving you ideas of how to deal with the data that it's collecting so that you can make those incremental changes. So for example, I have a polar as well, and it collects my heart rate variability, but then it doesn't really tell me what to do with it. So it's like having a little coach in your pocket where it gives you lots of ideas of what to do with the data that you're collecting. If you'd like to understand your body on a deeper level and track your stress, track your sleep, track your recovery, I highly recommend checking out the Ultrahuman Ring. I have a discount code and a link below, and I will leave it as the first link in the description box and a pinned comment below. I'd love to hear from you, so drop a comment below that says, I trust my body's wisdom, if you are excited as I am about the intersection between wearable tech, your body's intuition and embodiment. And be sure to follow me and like and subscribe so that you can check out my next video on dynamic recovery.